Hey guys, it's Motorcycles in the Wild, and today we are going to be talking about the best top 10 bikes to buy for 2021 to get the best bang for your buck. We're going to talk about Harley Davidson, Triumph, Moto Guzzi, Royal Enfield, and we're going to separate it by price, things you're going to have to look out for, our issues with the bike. So we're going to talk about pros and cons to each model, and even to each make, you know, going into like, are these dealers really going to help you out? When there's some issues, are they going to let you know about like maintenance records and stuff like that, which are always good to point out with negotiations. So not all these bikes are budget bikes, some of them are expensive, but we put this list together because you get the best buck for your bang, or bang for your buck as we like to say.
No, you like to say buck for your bang.
Yeah. Alright guys, the list we got here today is not a tier list, so we're just going to list them out in whatever order they come out. The first bike on our list is the Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 Custom. I've owned a couple of these. I love these bikes any year from I think 96 to about 2009. In 2009 they stopped this model. They're great bikes to buy. They were kind of the top of the line sportsters you could buy for that year. It was 21-inch front tire. You got bags with it and a windshield, a detachable windshield and everything like that, but everything was like chromed out. You got the nice like grips and everything like that, mirrors, everything was nicer for this model, so it's a great value for your money to buy. You can find them with low miles, you can find them with like 0 to 10,000 for about 3,000 to 6,000 bucks depending on the year and everything like that. Pros and cons of this model, it's the higher end Sportster for the years, so you get a lot of the great parts and everything like that. It's usually taken care of by the actual owner and everything like that, usually kept inside, so you don't have to worry about rust and all that other stuff. Cons of this bike, the real big con of this bike is it was all Sportsters of these years, but especially this bike, and I've had issues with this, is the clutch. They call it the Grenader clutch. It's on all the forums and everything like that. Basically, the middle of the clutch discs had a brass fittings around it and everything like that to make the clutch actually easier to pull in and everything like that. And about 20,000 to 30,000 miles, or about 15 to 20 years, they go bad, and the brass actually falls out, goes into your clutch basket, and then gets smashed around and ruins your whole clutch. And you can start feeling it. It feels like the clutch is starting to slip. When I would jump into first and just let go of the clutch, it would feel like it was slipping, but it's actually the clutch slamming into each other and everything like that because those brass fittings are just destroyed. But 25 to 30,000 miles when they say that issue happens. So whenever you find a Sportster like this, look at the maintenance records. If the issue wasn't resolved, they quoted me at like $2,500 to replace the clutch and everything like that once on one of my models and everything like that. And that was a Harley Davidson dealer, so it's always gonna be more expensive. But always bring that up. You can always work them down on a deal with that because they know on all Sportsters that that's an issue. So you can always work them down on that. I would check the brakes. The brakes always have an issue in the rear. On these models and stuff like that, and you got to be careful with these models if you're a new rider and everything like that, and you take the bags off because it has like a kind of like a small mag or a huge mag wheel with tiny little holes in it, and if you're not used to riding and it's windy outside, that mag wheel will make you move from side to side and everything like that. So that's another con of this model. If you're not used to riding, it's kind of a taller bike. If you catch a side wind and everything like that with that rear tire, your bike will kind of move like this and stuff like that. So you got to watch out for that. But besides that, this bike's a decent bike to buy for the value. It's a nice cruiser. It's heavy. So you shouldn't have too many problems going down the road. Our second bike is going to be the Moto Guzzi V7. Any year from 2011 to 2021. This is a great bike to buy if you want to buy a brand new bike. You can get them in 750s, 850s. I think there's a bobber that is 1,000 cc's that you can get. The best pro for this model and everything like that is the price you can get it at. Moto Guzzi is just not very popular in America. You rarely see them out on the road. I've only seen 2 V7s in the last 5 years. They have a great warranty. I think it's like 3 or 4 years. And you can like finance them for like 6 years with 0 APR and everything like that. So they're really trying to sell these bikes. A few cons of this model is that it blows oil into the airbox and stuff like that. That's been noticed, I think, in the 2016s and 2017s. 2017, they had the oil reservoir started leaking for your brake reservoir. Your oil there started leaking for the fluid and everything like that, and so it would shoot back on you, which was like a $10 fix or something like that. Other issues with this model was the starter would stop working. I think that was 2017 and before, so you'd have to replace the starter. Another issue with this model too, that is the clutch always coming out of adjustment. Multiple forums were discussing about this, where it would just about 1,000 to 3,000 miles, the clutch is kept getting unadjusted and stuff like that. So yeah, they'd have to go back in and get it readjusted. So there's the pros of the bike is that it's a newer bike that you can really work down because of these issues and stuff like that in price. They really want to sell them because Moto Guzzi doesn't have a really big following in America and stuff like that. But the V7, great starter bike. It's a good bike for beginners and everything like that don't want to worry about too much maintenance. They want a new bike, they want a warranty and everything like that, so it's not coming out of their pocket. Moto Guzzi would pay for it and everything like that, and they could finance it. If you don't have the money and you're able to work them down, you can still finance it and get a great deal. So it's definitely a bike to buy. Bike number 3 on our list is the Moto Guzzi ElDorado. These bikes start at $16,000. They're expensive, but you can get them down. 2 years ago, we were able to get it down. They had it at like 12,000. It was brand new, 0 miles. It was 2018, so it was a 2016 model. So it was 2 years old, but no miles on it and everything like that. And we were able to get them down to $8,900 out the door with taxes and everything like that. So these bikes are, you can get them if you find a dealership and everything like that, and it's been sitting for a while and it's a couple-year-old model, you can get them done. I also found one in Milwaukee. We're in Chicago, but I found one in Milwaukee and they wanted to get rid of it for $7,900 brand new. So that's literally cut in half with taxes and everything like that. They just wanted to get rid of the bike. So these bikes are available. They're great. Pros of these bikes, you can get a brand new bike, cruiser, 1400 cc, shaft drive, not a lot of maintenance. There's not a lot of issues with these bikes. The cons, there's not a lot of issues. There's no, nothing coming up a lot with, they're just something with the clutch where it makes a gargling sound or something like that, but that's it. These bikes are really dependable. They're built like tanks. They're the Harleys of Italy and everything like that. So just big bikes, low turning engines. So there's just not a lot of maintenance you have to do to them. Bike number 4 on our list is the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650, the 2021. This bike is a standard motorcycle, so it's got mid controls and everything like that. It's got a straight seat, it's in that standard riding position and everything like that. So it's a great starter bike, 650 cc's. It's a parallel twin. I think it makes 55 to 65 horsepower. Don't quote me on that. But it's got like the nice exhaust, like cafe racer exhaust and everything like this. The bike's a great price point. I think they're $5,900, and you can easily work them down. There's a ton of them. When you look at dealers and everything like that, they sit on the lots and you rarely ever see them around. They're great beginner bikes. If you want a brand new bike, they have great warranties. I think it's like a 3 or 4 year warranty. Everything is included in that. Besides that, it's just a great beginner bike. You can obviously negotiate down because there's just not a big following for them. And they're an Indian-made bike now. It's not an English-made bike anymore. So they're trying to get a competition with other companies in America and everything like that. So you can definitely take advantage of it negotiating. And you rarely ever see used ones because, you know, they're still new on the yacht on the yacht. And they've recently come to the country. I think 2014 was the first year they were sold in America. So they're a recently new company from the original company that's been around for over 100 years. So it's definitely a great value for your money. Bike number 5 on our list is the Continental GT 650. It's Royal Enfield. It is a cafe racer style bike. It's kind of in between. It's not mid controls and they're not in the rear set. They're kind of in between that. And the handlebars are a lot better than the cafe racer clip-ons. They're clip-ons, but I think they're a little raised, so they're like a 1-inch raise. So it's kind of still like a standard style motorcycle. It's got the nice upsweeping pipes and everything like that. It's a 650 cc motorcycle. I think it's like 65 or 70 horsepower. I think it comes with ABS, so you can get the ABS option and everything like that. It's got a 4-year warranty, same as the other one. They're great bikes. They have a lot better color combinations than the standard 650 Interceptor. And I think they have upgraded rear shocks and upgraded forks in the front, so you have better handling and everything like that. It's a great bike, great value. You don't see a lot of them. There's a ton of them on the lots. They're not selling well, probably because there's not a big following in America. They're smaller bikes, but it's a great value for your money if you want to get a cafe racer style bike. It's got a little performance that's light. If it's your first bike and you want to get something that's new, you can definitely negotiate. There's not a big following. You get a great warranty, and you don't have to worry about maintenance or anything like that. Bike number 6 is gonna blow your fucking mind.
Cut.
Bike number 6 is gonna unwind the fabric of your mind. It's a Harley Davidson Sportster 48, 2021. You can go anywhere from I think 2009 to 2021. I think it came out in 2009 or 2011. It's a great bike. There's a ton of them. They made a bunch of them. The only con to this bike is it's kind of got an uncomfortable position to ride in. You have forward controls and then the bars are kind of far forward. Me, I got a longer back, shorter legs, so it's kind of uncomfortable riding it. The back's kind of stiff, so it hurts you on longer rides and everything like that. And then the peanut tank, I think it's like 2.2 gallons or 2.8 gallons, so you don't get a lot of gas mileage. I think if you're riding it conservatively, conservatively, if you're riding it conservatively, you're only going to get about 120 miles to about 90 miles if you're really ripping on it. So it's not the best bike to buy for long distance and everything like that, but it is a great bike. You can find a bunch of them. You can definitely negotiate them because there's a bunch of miles, there's a little miles. They've either had a bunch of service or they haven't. So there's a lot of variables that can actually help you negotiate a better deal. If you see one and it's been sitting there for a lot of months, you can negotiate that and be like, hey, this bike's been sitting there, not many people must be interested in it. Let me lower it. If it's used, you know, look at the maintenance records, look at how many miles it has. All that stuff will help you negotiate a better deal on that. But it is a great bike. It's a bike that, you know, a starter could use. It's not heavy. I think it's about like 500, 550 pounds. They've definitely helped you out with the sports. It used to be top heavy and everything like that. This bike, the weight's a lot lower. And it's a lower bike, so it's easier for beginners to use. But it's a great bike to get on as a starter because you can lower the price, or it's a great bike to have if it's your second or third bike. So, bike number 7 is the Harley Sportster 883, anywhere from 2009 to, or Iron 883, anywhere from 2009 to 2021. They're, you know, great starter bikes, 883 cc's. I think they usually come with a solo seat that's ribbed, so it's, you know, nice and comfortable. They're mid-controlled. Handlebars, I think they have a low riser with, you know, they're like tracker bars. They got like a 3-inch or 2-inch up, and then they're kind of like tracker bars. So it's a comfortable ride and everything like that. Great starter bike. There's a ton of them. I think that's their most selling model at this point in time. So they're just everywhere. They start at brand new, like $998 or $999. $9,999, but they're great bikes. You can always work out a deal with them. People usually trade them in, you know, 8,000, 10,000 miles. They're usually decently taken care of, so there's some maintenance records and everything like that, but you can negotiate a better deal because there's just so many of them, and, you know, everybody trades them in, so they're, you know, a couple of years old. So you can definitely get a good deal on a bike that's only 2 or 3 years old. So it's definitely a great bike to look at. If you want a Harley, if you want just a bike to kind of go around town, it's not, you know, it's not a sporty bike or anything like that. It's underpowered. I think it's only got like maybe 60 horsepower with the fuel injection models and everything like that. But it's a great bike. They're definitely a great value for your money, just because you can get a cruiser bike that's heavier, that's got, you know, decent power just to get around town. It's comfortable. It's definitely good value for your money. Bike number 8 is the T100 Triumph Bonneville. Anywhere from 2005 to 2021. These are great bikes. They're 1,000 cc's. They have the T100 1000 cc parallel twin engine that's the same in the Thruxtons and the Bobbers and everything like that. So it's one universal engine that they bore out and stroke a little differently. But it's the same engine. There's a ton of them out there. These are great bikes to buy used. They're great bikes to buy new. New, you can get them anywhere from 13,000 and down to about 8,000. Within the last couple of years. Old ones are great value too. The carbureted models, and then they get up into fuel injection, I think 2009, 2010. Great reliable engines. The older ones are fun because they got throttle cables and everything like that. I think 2015 is when they went over to fuel injection 2009. And then the electronic throttle, so throttle by wire and everything like that, was 2015. They're still fun, but I always like throttle cables. You get more of a feel with the clutch and everything like that. But the earlier models are great, and even the newer models are great too. Great bikes to buy, great value for your money. They're smaller bikes. They're 1,000 cc's, but you get about, depending on the year, you get about 55 horsepower to about 70 horsepower. Very powerful engines. They're torque to low in the lower gears and everything like that. Dependable. Pros of the model, they're lighter bikes. They're about like 480 to 500, depending on if it's the carbureted model or if the upgraded model, it's the 1,000 cc's, and I think 2015. I think they're a little heavier. Other pros, just very dependable bikes. They made a ton of them. Parts aren't too expensive, but they last. They have great warranties. Cons, they're more of a retro kind of bike, so if you're not into retro bikes, that's probably not what you want. It's a very hipstery bike. The earlier ones look really like the 60s. Once 2015 happened, they kind of did that modern take on it where a lot of stuff's blacked out. You have matte paints and stuff like that. So that's your con. If you want to go for the older ones, it's going to look more like a bike from the 60s and 70s. Whereas the newer bikes are going to have that modern flair to it where it's matte black or blacked out and everything like that. They have more of a modern take. So great value for your money. You can get used ones for about $4,000 to $5,000 that are the older ones. And the newer ones you can get anywhere from 6 to about 9, depending on how you negotiate and everything like that. Bikes 10 and 9. And 9 and 10 are the Thruxton 900 and the Thruxton 1200. You can go from, I think, 2005 is when the first model came out, up till 2015 for the 900. And then the Thruxton 1200 was 2016 to 2021 and present. These are great bikes. The Thruxton 900 is based off the Bonneville engine from those years, from 2005 to 2015. So it's tried and true. It's a great engine. I don't think they upgraded anything on the engine for that year. The gearing, I believe, is the same thing. The only thing that they upgraded was the look. So the characteristics of the bike, you have rear set pegs and everything like that. And then you have clip-on bars and everything like that, but it's based on the same frame as the Bonneville. So it's just a cafe racer version of the Bonneville and everything like that. So it's a great bike. It shares the same parts of the Bonneville, so there's plenty of parts of the bike. Pros, your handling's great. It's a cafe style racer bike and everything like that, so the handling's great. It's comfortable. Throttle cables and everything like give it great throttle response and everything like that. I test rode a 900 last year, 2011. It's a great bike, handled great, even though it was 10 years old and everything like that. It had plenty of power for a 900cc engine. Cons, I haven't really seen too many issues with this model and everything like that. Maintenance wise, just your normal maintenance and stuff that goes wrong. You'll probably need gaskets after 10 to 15 years. You got to do your regulatory maintenance and everything like that, but not too many cons for this bike. The only con would be that by buying this bike, you're just getting a more uncomfortable Bonneville. So it's definitely, if you want like a cafe racer style bike, if you want something that's more sporty, this would be the bike to go. But if you want something that's like your daily rider, that's a cruiser, you can go for that Bonneville instead of the Thruxton. Even though this Thruxton is more comfortable, personally, I have the 2016 1200 Thruxton, which is bike number 10. I'll go into that. The 1200 Thruxton's a little uncomfortable to ride. It's more of a sport a sport bike and everything like that. The pegs are a lot farther than the 900 up. Clip-ons are a lot more dramatic. The suspension's all changed. It's like a race suspension. It's a lot stiffer and everything like that. The engine's completely different than the 2016 and up Bonneville. It's got about 10 to 15 more horsepower. It's got a lot more torque. The gearing's a lot lower so that you get higher RPM, so you get more torque, you're mid to high range and everything like that. It's not like the Bonneville, it's not like the Bobber where you have a more immediate torque because the gearing's a lot bigger. So you have it's a 6-speed instead of a 5-speed. The old 900s were 5 speeds. This is a 6-speed and everything like that. Pros of this bike, if you want a sportier Thruxton, if you want a sportier bike, this is a great bike that gives you the cafe racer style and everything like that. Cons, I've had a gear sensor go out. It's only 5 years old. Gear sensor went out. You have literally no power. It has no idea what gear you're in. Extremely hard to figure out with the electronic clutch, with the throttle by wire and everything like, with the electronic throttle, the throttle by wire, with the gear sensor going out, it like gives you no power. You have to send it in, you have to get it fixed. What actually happened is the gasket leaks and then ruins the gear sensor, so you have to replace that. It's about $400, which is a huge con. Another con I've had is on the 2016 through 2017 models, I forgot what it's called, but if you rev it in neutral, like really fast, the bike's RPMs will rev up and down about 9 or 6 times and then die. That's happened to me about 10 times. I just had my bike going to get that fixed. They're updating the system and everything like that. You gotta watch out for these bikes because I bought this bike with about 400 miles on it. It was used, about 2 years old with 400 miles. The guy rarely used it and then it sat and the brakes glazed over. So I was riding around with like 30% brakes so what they had to do is they had to take it in and they had to ride it for like 4 miles with the brakes held in so that they would heat up, so that the actual brake pads seated and everything like that. But you gotta watch out, make sure that you buy them with a couple, 1,000 or 2 miles on them so they're actually ridden and stuff like that, because problems do come up. My headlight burned out after a year, had to get that replaced. So there's some stuff that's wrong with it. You'll definitely have to make sure that they fix that revving issue. You'll have to make sure that the gear sensor has been changed because that is a common problem that goes out. But these are great bikes. The 900 you can get for about $5,000 to about $6,000. You can always work them down because they're older bikes and people want to get the newer models, the 1200. I got my bike, it was used with 400 miles, it was 2 years old. They wanted 9,900 and I got it for 7,800 by negotiating down. I brought up the throttle issue, I brought up the rev limiter issue, I brought up the gear sensor issue, and it still ended up going up, but that actually helped me get the price down to $7,800. So it did save me money on the top end and everything like that. But they're great bikes. They're really dependable. It's fun to have a bike. If it's not your first bike, I wouldn't recommend it for your first bike. Or if you only have one bike, I would recommend it for like a second bike so that you can take out that's sporty. I'd recommend that you get kind of a cruiser style bike and everything like that, and then have this on the side. If this is going to be your daily driver, you can. I live in the city. It's kind of annoying to have it though. If you live more out in the suburbs or open roads, it wouldn't be as bad. But in traffic, you know, the gearing's so low, it's more of a mid to high range torque. You're not really using it unless you kind of time it right, and there's not many people on the road and everything like that. So they're both great bikes. The 2016 and up 1200, definitely watch out, make sure those issues are addressed. And the ones before that, they're a lot more fun for the city and everything like that. They're geared lower, they're more like the Bonneville, so they're a little more comfortable and everything like that. It's more of just a cafe racer up Bonneville and stuff like that. People you'll see on these bikes, definitely hipsters. On the older ones, the newer ones, you got to have a little money, which hipsters don't. You know, they're spending it too much on coffee and stuff like that. So you'll definitely see. You don't really see many of the 1200s either. The 1200s, they rarely ever get in stock. I think the dealer I talked to, each dealer gets two, and there's the 1200, which I have, which is the normal one without the O-ring shocks in the front and the back. Then you have the R, and then you have the RS. Those they only get two of, and those are your, you know, $16,000, $17,000 motorcycles. So there are not as many out there. So if you want a unique bike, the 1200 is the one to get. You don't see many of them, and people are always asking questions. Oh, what bike is that to me? I probably get asked 5 or 6 times every time I go out. Great bike. What kind of bike is that? What model is that? So they're great bikes to buy. But definitely, if you want a more standard bike, get the 900. And if you want a bike that's kind of unique, you know, may have some issues here and there that you got to make sure they're addressed, get the 1200. But they're great bikes. Well guys, that is our top 10. If any bikes didn't appear or didn't show up in this video, make sure to comment in the section below. And make sure to like, click, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Well guys, that was our top 10. If there was any bikes that you didn't see or that you'd like to comment on that you think would make it in the top 10 like that,
Alright, action.
Wait. What were you gonna...
Go.
Hey guys, hope that video fucking...
I point to you and you point to me. Rolling action.
Hey guys, this is gonna blow your fucking mind.
Profanity. We must
Wait, you
abstain
can't swear
from-
you can swear on YouTube, right?